Hello everyone, welcome to the second video of Great Potential but Failed. The game I'm looking at is Broken Ranks. I'm gonna try to fit into 15 minutes and introduce all the systems, all the issues, and try to explain at the end, in my opinion, why the game is not doing even remotely as well as it could potentially do. So let's start with the combat. The best way to explain a combat is with the example. So if I go to the classics, the tactics, you see at the bottom here, you see your combat layout. When you start a combat, this is gonna be your layout, besides the animations and everything, of course. This is your layout. So basically, you have, when you start, you have two tactics. If you want more, you have to level up to a central level, or I think you can get them in the cash shop, but I will look into cash shop a little bit later. So the first thing first, combat. You have 12 points, which is your resources, and you allocate those points into each attack. More points means more damage, more accuracy. And then you have defenses against melee, ranged, and mental. Mental is mostly debuffs, but there is some attack mental skills that really can hit you hard. So overall, this is a good system. I really like it. I think this is brilliant. And then in the combat, you have 10 seconds to change what attack you want to use in case this one doesn't work or the chance to hit has decreased. But that's where the issue comes in. So basically, you have a chance to hit, like you have a percentage. And for example, this ability, let's go back here. And this is where you learn abilities and level them up. You get skill points, 10 skill points, for example, in yellow, gets you 1 skill point in orange, and the same for red. And these are required for different stages into your ability. Like my ability has second stage, and each stage has 7 levels. So you have like chance to hit 30 plus 32%. So you think from the base of those of the 2 points that I have here plus 32%. So let's say these two are 1/3. So it's about 40 something percent or 35 plus 32. It's like you get almost 70% chance to hit. Sounds about reasonable. It sounds about right. It's not how it works. Not even close. Basically, no matter what you do, where you allocate the points, how you allocate the points, the chance to hit will always be 50-50 because of the RNG system they have in the game. This chance only affects the ability, and it doesn't actually give you 32. It increases the chance to hit by 32%. So it's not like giving you 32% chance to hit. It increases your base by 32%. So it's, if you have like 20% chance, it gives you nothing. Like you have to, if you have, for example, 100% chance to hit, it gives you 30, and you know, looking at mathematics, it's going downwards. So yeah, so that is one of the major issues. The RNG system, it's completely bad. It should not have been. They should have just went with damage point allocation instead, and made it so the players just either hit harder or I don't know, the buffs are stronger, or they can do less damage, stuff like that. Like there was a lot of options to go with this, and they could have just gotten rid of the accuracy, but they chose not to, and they're paying the price. The game is practically dead. There's nobody playing it right now. It's in my time about 2 o'clock. It's Monday, so a lot of people are at work, for example. But even in the peak time, the game is completely empty. There's nobody playing, basically. There's maybe you see 1 or 2 players running by. So yeah, I saw that person like 5 times already, and the other one as well. Like that's the only players right now in the game in this town. So yeah, the situation is pretty bad, and that the combat is one of them. The second would be the group. So yeah, you have this information. If you join, you can see other people's. You can see your pet here. And the pets are practically mandatory, especially considering how the game is made for the group content mostly. Like, you need a group. It's hard. It's a really hard game. You need a group. Maybe early in the game, depending on how well you play, you don't. But later on, you need a group, since the game is hard. With that, of course, the assumption is the group must be an integral thing to the game. Which brings me to the second major issue. It is not an integral part of the game. It's actually very, very bad system. It's so bad that there's no point to be in a group, except if you want to progress the missions, which requires you to group. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't get in a group because it's pointless. I get punished in XP. I get punished in interaction because only one player controls the whole group. And that would be fine if, for example, other players could interact with things as well. But right now, as I'm alone right now, but for example, if you're in a group and you're like, walk here and you can loot something here, only I can loot. The others cannot interact. They have to leave the group, interact, and rejoin the group. So they can't interact with it while they're in a group. They have to leave it. And that brings me to another issue in the group. Missions, quests. So there is quests that are for the group, but let me get there. Apologize for the mouse sounds. I tried setting the sound settings so it doesn't capture, but sadly, it just ruins the sound completely, so I just gave up. Okay, so you have these missions. These are blue missions. They're repeatable. Everybody in the group does it, and you can do one every 15 minutes. The issue is only the party leader can interact with NPC. Meaning, after you finish the mission, everybody has to come back here, leave the group, talk to NPC, rejoin the group. It's not like one player, that the leader goes in, talks to the NPC, and the mission is complete. So that is not a big thing. That's not game breaking, but it's just a little bit of annoyances. The major issue is when you go to the one-time missions or one-time quests. They do not progress for the group. The group cannot do the mission together. One player at a time. Rest of the players are just sitting there. And that in itself maybe could be fine because the mission have choices and can be done in different ways, depending on what you want to do and how you want to do it. But that doesn't work either because you can't see the dialogues. Only the main player can see dialogues. So everybody that's in the group and helping your friend to do like the quests, they're just sitting there. That's all they do. They're just sitting there waiting until there's a combat part within the quest. And the developer said, oh, they don't have to. They can just leave the group and do their own thing. Yeah, get the level difference and then lose XP because you're punished for being with the people of higher, different levels. Like, it makes no sense. I wouldn't mind it so much if I could at least see the dialogue. Then I would know how the progress in the quest is different from how I progressed. So you have multiple choices and you get to see all of them. You can experience all of them basically. Yeah, you don't get the reward anymore because you did it once, but at least you're watching the story unfold in a different way than you did it. So there is something for you, not just standing there like an idiot. But alas, that's not what the developers thought should be, and I have argued with them about this in their early testing phases on the Discord, and they would always heavily defend it, and they're huge fans of the game join in. Usually like 5 to 6 players would come in and defend it as well. That's probably the population that's left in the game at this point. And with all that, let's get to the end comments by me, my opinion now. With all these things being as it is, because everything else besides these points, which are game breaking and reason why game is doing so badly, besides these points, everything else is great. The aesthetic is beautiful, the environments are beautiful, the quests are well thought, well written, and quite interesting with different branching paths. Like overall, the game is great. But these huge issues that I mentioned is what caused this game to just die out and be disappeared into the shadows and into the poor gaming history. And so my thoughts on this. I like the game. I really do because of the aesthetic and missions, so that's why I play it. It's a torture sometimes, really big torture, as there's nobody playing the game and I'm still low level, so it's pretty difficult. It's pretty difficult to do it. But I still like the game, and there's not that many games, if any at all, that would scratch the turn-based MMORPG itch. Developers just don't make it because apparently it's not popular. So yeah, that being said, the game is great, except for those issues. And those issues add into the whole new players can't join in the game, you being unable to progress alone but requiring the group makes the population a huge requirement. You need to have constant influx of new players, and so the grouping would be a viable choice. But that is not a thing, and the players don't want to group because they get punished heavily for it, and then they can't do the missions, and it just becomes boring staring at the screen game, basically. So, of course, nobody wants to do that. And with that being said, new players not coming in and grouping being a main thing to the game, you would expect a pet system at least be good. And it's good, and at the same time it's bad. So the good part is that you have a certain amount of control over the pets, but it doesn't force you to control it as in combat. The pets do the combat automatically. I find it good enough because I don't like to micromanage too much. I think if you have too many things that going on at once, it's a huge drawback as well. It's a problem because games should be simple. And if you want something that is not simple, you pick the game that is made not to be simple. This is not one of those games. This is in between. It's half baked, half put in together, like yeah. So you get one pet, and that's an issue, because one pet means that the enemies can just focus either you or the pet, and then just outright kill you instantly because they're RNG. It's just how it is. So you need the group, you need the players. There's no players. The pet system doesn't alleviate this issue either. Just makes it a little bit less painful, but it doesn't fix it. So basically, you are stuck being punished in every turn of the game. Of course, new players are not going to join in. Of course, they're not going to play as soon as they hit the first wall or find out like the quests are not progressed by the group, but instead by a single individual, and you don't get anything in return for it. Except for the combat XP, which is like if you're higher level, it's just so small, it's negligible. So yeah, there's no reward, only punishment. And of course, that is what brought this game to its end. It's not gonna die, they're gonna keep it alive, since the game is, because of the game's aesthetics, it probably doesn't require a lot of resources to keep it afloat, but I don't believe they did any major updates or anything to the game. It is how it was, as there's just not enough money coming in to make it into something bigger, and that That's the reason why this game failed. Even though it still has that potential. The thing about these games that I review, they have the great potential. The potential is not gone. They just have to do the right fixes to the games. Fix the combat, get rid of that accuracy thing. We don't need that. You can just do the damage lower, higher, or introduce different systems like grazing and stuff like that. Don't have outright miss system because it feels like you're getting punished no matter what you do. That should not be the feeling. The game is supposed to be fun, not irritating, not annoying, not anger-inducing. Fun. We don't sit after a long work day, after 8 hours at work, all exhausted and just go like, all right, let's get ourselves tortured again. No! We want to relax. We want to enjoy things we love. That's why we play games. With that said, I will probably make a video on that. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. The video went over the 15 minutes, sadly, but thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Best of luck, and see you next time.